Ready? All right, folks, we're going to get started. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on July 21st, 2017, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of this meeting, and will be available on UTTV Channel 97 and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that this announcement made a part of the minutes of this meeting. And I'll tell you what, Garrett, would you like to come up and lead us through the salute to the flag? You can come up here. We want to see all those merit badges. Come on.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stay there. Dan, would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Coggins?
Here.
Mr. Corson?
Present.
Mr. Palumbo?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here. All right. So just so the committee understands, we're a little short tonight. I'm going to be reading the resolutions and going through the agenda, and Dan's going to copy the roll, and Barbara's filling in, so we have notes along with the video recording. So we'll get through this meeting, no problem. But so just a little different tonight than we're normally used to due to some illnesses. So Garrett, you're here, and we're happy that you're here, and we want to congratulate you for becoming an Eagle Scout. It's something that I know this Township Committee certainly enjoys recognizing. It's a great accomplishment, and it's something that you can always take and put a part of your resume, and anytime you apply for any type of work, employer opportunity or employee opportunity, or I'm sure college applications or whatever. It's just really spectacular or special that you have this rank of being an Eagle Scout. And we have put together a resolution, and I'd like to read it to you, really acknowledging all the good things that you've done. So it says, whereas Garrett Vlett of Troop 79, Upper Township, New Jersey, has recently achieved the designation of Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts of America, the Township of Upper wishes to acknowledge the outstanding accomplishment of this remarkable young man. The Township Committee extends its sincere congratulations to Garrett on the occasion of his receiving the designation of Eagle Scout, and commends him for this outstanding accomplishment and the completion of his Eagle Scout project, which consisted of renovating and expanding the memorial at Amanda's Field in Petersburg, dedicated in the memory of the Ocean City High School student Amanda Field, who was killed in an automobile accident at the corner of the complex. Garrett landscaped the area around the memorial stone and added 24-foot by 24-foot paver patio and 2 benches to recognize and honor Upper Township first responders, Mort Schmarling and Curtis Corson Sr., the SEBO firefighter. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Committee extends its sincere congratulations and best wishes to Garrett's parents, family, and friends on this happy occasion, and that the Township Committee also extends its congratulations and appreciation to the Scoutmasters and others who give so freely and generously of their time for the benefit of our youth. Many of us had the opportunity to be at the dedication of your work, and it is and continues to be an asset to not only Amanda's Field, but to the whole township. So, and it was great that we had an opportunity to be with you on that groundbreaking day when it was finished. We sincerely appreciate all that you've done for the township. And I know these guys want to come down and congratulate you, as I do. So,
Rich, if I could just real quick.
Sure.
On behalf of John and Janet Fields, Amanda's mom and dad, they want to extend their thank you for the beautiful job you did in memory of Amanda. So I just want to pass that along. They did come down for 4th of July last year, so they got to see it. And great job.
So this is the best part. We get to get the picture so that we can in the newspaper. Congratulations.
hot that day, too.
That'll be for the next 5 years there, probably. Till the update.
Well, you and your family are welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to go and have dinner or whatever you may have missed at this point. So,
Sounds like you're leaving.
have a great evening.
Thanks.
Congratulations again.
See you, Bob.
Good night.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the regular and closed session minutes from the meeting of July 10th?
Motion approved. Second.
Is there any corrections, deletions, omissions that anyone's aware of? Hearing none. Would you call the roll, Dan?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
And Mr. Young?
Abstain.
Mr. Young, you were not here, right?
No.
So, we'll move on to the report of the governing body. Scott, do you have anything for us this evening?
Just a few things, Mayor and committee members. I received a report from our supervisor of Public Works. This is a report from Cape County MUA, Municipal Solid Waste Diverted. There's a goal in the county of 50% or more, and I'm pleased to report that of all 16 municipalities, Upper Township and Lower Township were the two municipalities that achieved that 50% goal. So ours was 57.02% as far as the solid waste diverted is concerned. So, Roy, nice work with your members there. Commercial containers, on the subject of recycling, our commercial containers, we found out from our vendor, Mid-Atlantic, that they will be here on Friday. So we'll start to kick off that project soon after that. We do have to put their readers, RFID readers, so that we can have the proper inventory of these commercial recycling containers. But after that, we'll be able to disseminate them to those commercial establishments who need them. We have a meeting scheduled as a result of our last committee meeting, the host community benefit with MUA. We're in the process of scheduling with Joe. Paul, remind me of the last name. I forget his last name. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Joe Doe.
Joe. Yeah. He's on vacation.
I think it's Rizzuto.
Okay. It could be. Yes. Yeah. So we are in the process of scheduling that meeting as committee has requested me to do. And that should be soon. There was also a request for our Public Works Supervisor and the Director of Public Works for Dennis Township to meet regarding our VAC system. And I know Roy has arranged that meeting for this coming Wednesday. So that was another a request of committee. And the only other thing I have is over the last couple of weeks, Paul and I have been working with Verizon on our issue of Verizon Wireless within Township Hall. It's always been an issue as far as connectivity is concerned. And because of our status as a backup public safety answering point for Ocean City, our dispatch center, Verizon Wireless provided us with what's called a 4G LTE network extender. We currently have that installed in our communications center, and if you have Verizon and you want to look at your phone right now, you'll see that you have 4G connectivity, probably 3 or 4 bars, one thing that we had never had before.
Two.
So we're still working out a few
I don't know, I can tell you.
bug issues with Verizon, but we hope before the end of this week that will be taken care of. So, and that was at the best thing, no cost to the township. That's a $3,000 item. And that is it.
Mine only says Verizon, it doesn't say 4G.
You have your,
Do you have your Wi-Fi on?
yeah, your advanced, you have to go into your advanced settings.
No,
I'll show you that.
I'll give you my phone, you can take care of that for me.
There you go.
What kind of phone do you have? No, I mean, is it a Samsung?
That would be an Apple product, not Samsung.
Okay. That's good.
Good report.
Daniel?
I have nothing at this time, but there are a number of items for closed session, mostly contract negotiations, but we do have litigation, personnel, and safety and security as well.
Okay. Paul?
Thank you. Just want to report that we're working with the Coastal Coalition. They had the opportunity to apply for a grant with the Nature Conservancy to do a living shoreline project, and they had selected Upper Township as having a good project location and would meet most of the needs of the Nature Conservancy and the mission of the Coastal Coalition. So they're working with my office to, they submitted a grant for $25,000 to do the preliminary study of extending, if you're a boat ramp in Strathmere where we just finished completing, and kind of look to the south, you'll notice that that whole part of the rest of Strathmere is kind of really eroded away. We've lost probably 40 to 50 feet of shoreline there over the last 30 years or so. The intent would be to build that back out and utilizing dredge spoils. And obviously, that's the great thing of trying to use those things is, there's different towns or the DOT, which dredges the inland waterway, is always looking for places to get rid of that. So the whole thing is if we come up with a study in an area that can utilize that type of material, then you've got to kind of get free material or reduce price of material in a project that both enhance the shoreline, restore some habitat, and beneficially reuse the material to help keep the inland waterways open. So they'll be moving that project forward if we possibly receive that grant.
And there's no additional funds that will be needed?
No additional cost to the township. Made it very clear to the Coastal Coalition that, it's a project that it's worthwhile doing, but, at this point, we don't have the budgetary funds to put forth permitting or engineering or studying, that type of project at this point.
Will they be looking for places to get dredge spoils?
That'll be part of, the analysis of the project is to identify the type of material, because obviously dredge materials have all different kinds of consistency. So part of, identifying the scope of that project, will say, hey, we would be looking for dredge materials with this kind of material makeup. So then we'd be able to, look around and say, okay, what town might be dredging, might have that type of material consistency that would fit into that project.
I mean, they obviously washed out of there and went somewhere and probably got dredged up. Don't they think these things are gonna make a full circle?
What do you mean?
We're putting the dredge spoils back on erosion. Where do you think they're getting the dredge material from? There's probably something that's already been dredged off of what we did.
Potentially.
So don't they think they're gonna be back in the waterway and dredged again someday?
Well, that is the nature of dredging, is material gets
So-
there, but it's coming from all different locations.
So would they be looking at our own area to take dredge spoils from first?
Yes, Corson's Inlet.
Yes,
Yes.
that's part of what we're gonna be
Okay.
looking at is working with the DOT.
What is
And
bulkhead?
and obviously, the closer you are to that location, the more cost effective it is to remove it. The state, even though I'll say the Strathmere Bay, not the main inland waterway that's, I'll say, on the outside, that goes past it, Rush Chatton, but what comes in along the Strathmere, that is marked and I won't say regularly maintained or even, but that could be, if we had a location where we could put dredge wells, that might be something where we could talk to the DOT, who's in charge of maintaining those secondary channels, and possibly, especially from, of course, it's Inlet Bridge, as you head towards the Duville, there's a lot of sandbars in that area, and it's really hard to get underneath that bridge from Corson's Inlet. I'm not talking about, where we dredge for the beach hill, but from the inlet, the Corson's Inlet Bridge, and then heading south, as you go past, especially the Duville, and then down that first little stretch, those would be areas that we might obviously hope to identify first, yes.
Good.
And I'll keep you up to date on how that moves forward, and that's all I have to see.
Did you see the request from the Lang City Electric? We got an email today.
I did, it actually, I'd actually had a resident call about 2 weeks ago asking me to reach out to Lansing Electric, so it was pretty fortuitous that they, identified that problem at the end of, at the end of Wilkie Bowl.
Right.
Yeah, so it's their access, it's not really a township, I mean, it is, I'll say, cutting out and starting to follow the end of our ribbon, so it is something that they.
So will you reach out with them and make sure that, I know the request was to repair it and then also add stone, I guess, but it was to their area, their
Yes.
right of way or whatever. Right,
It'll be a positive benefit to help restore that area.
okay. Barbara?
We have one item this evening, Mr. Mayor. As you know, we have an employee that gets his playground certification because he inspects our playgrounds from time to time. I believe it happens every 3 years, and he's due for his renewal again. He's asking to attend the course for 3 days in December, the beginning of December, in Pennsylvania. The cost, I believe, would be $700 because I believe he's a non-member. If he is a member, it would be $575 cost. Again, we need your permission because of the cost and the length of time. It would be, the cost of the conference would be lodging because it's 3 consecutive days, and meals as well. So if you're so inclined to grant that.
What's the lodging, what do we have, any idea? I mean,
Well, we generally, in the past, we try to look for a reasonable accommodation, you know.
so we set that up?
We would set that up, yes.
And most of the places give you a government discount.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I'd like to make a motion to have them do the
Second.
education.
And I'll second that.
All right, so we have a first and a second.
And also have them join the association, so next time it comes around, it's cheap.
I have to check on that.
And what's the cost to
He
join the
may already-
association?
It doesn't say what the cost to join the association is, that's a separate.
$1,200.
All right, so let's leave that out of the resolution.
Forget about the association, research that one.
We'll get back to you.
Yeah. All right, so we have a first and a second to approve our employee to attend that conference. So is there any other discussion? Hearing none, would you call the roll? Dan?
Sorry. Barbara to do it.
I know, this is gonna be tough. We'll get through this meeting, I
Just
promise.
wake me up when it comes.
All right.
Mr. Barr,
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corsi,
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo, and
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
All right,
It should be a
5-0.
ventriloquist in there.
I just didn't feel comfortable calling the roll when I'm voting as well, so.
I expected the clerk to do it, see how bad I am.
That's all I had, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Coggins?
Mr. Mayor, tonight I actually have more of a request as part of my report. As you know, the Economic Development Committee has been meeting for approximately 4 months. And in that time, what we have been doing is focusing on a vision plan for the township to enhance our economic development. We've also been talking about ideas to develop our town centers and ways to make our gateways into the township more attractive from an appearance point of view. So with that, what I would like to do is ask your indulgence to bring in the president of our Economic Development Committee and have them do a short PowerPoint presentation to the committee at our next meeting to kind of show you what the framework of this vision plan is. In it, you're going to find probably about maybe 10 points that the committee has found to be some of the better ideas from the various discussions. And at a certain point, we're going to try to trim that down to maybe 3 or 4, so we can kind of bite this off in smaller chunks. But more than anything, what I'm doing is requesting of you to put on the agenda for the next meeting to allow the Economic Development Committee to come in and talk about things like the vision plan, the improvements to the town centers, and the beautification of the township, which are items that we've been focusing on for the past 4 months.
I think it'd be appropriate to get an update from,
Yes.
and I also think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, the vision statement is important for us to go forward to get some potential grants as well, right?
That's
Isn't
correct.
that- okay.
That's really the key element in getting some of these grants to move forward.
So I think it'd be good for all of us to see that, so we'll definitely have that on the agenda. Now, you're taking minutes, right? So I remember to do that.
I have notes that we have to put on the agendas.
Okay.
We're covered.
Okay.
Just don't ask me to take the roll.
Yeah, we don't need to vote for that one. Okay, that's great.
Thank you.
I'm
That
looking
was-
forward to that.
That was all I had, but thanks.
Hobie?
Okay, yeah, since I missed the last meeting, I didn't get a chance to go over 4th of July. I know you addressed quite a bit of it. But, again, it was a pretty good success. We had a few issues as far as the starting time and a late crowd showing up. So we're going to try to work on that going into next year. I think we still had 4,000 or 5,000 people out there for fireworks. And Scott, I want to thank you and OEM for getting involved this year. Parking and everything went so easy, it was ridiculous. With that, I'd like to ask if we could do a resolution. I'd like to thank two people, or two organizations. One of them is Shauna Mulford, from Let's Party Painters. She has been our organizer basically for the last 3 years. And even though there is some money involved, she goes so far over and beyond this. And a lot of times I don't think she gets the recognition and thank yous that she should get. She supplies our characters, handles the vendors, organizes everything we do out there, and coordinates with Scott and everybody else as well. So I would like, the committee to approve for us to do a resolution for Shauna Mulford and Let's Party Painters. Also, I would like to do one for, I just read the email today. The Cape Regional again came through with a nice donation, so I would like to bring Cape Regional in also and present them with another resolution for the money that they donated. Along with celebrations, a lot of people have probably seen in the papers, and Kurt and I've talked about this, in Egg Harbor Township was Fleming's Pumpkin Run, which is a gigantic car show, steam engines, you name it, they have it out there. And Egg Harbor Township cracked down this year, I guess because of parking or whatever reason, and has denied them. It was a gigantic fundraiser for the fire companies in Scoville area. And they are looking, there's a core that would like to see that continue, even somewhere else for this year, so that they don't lose the momentum they had. And Kurt and I talked about it, and Kurt thought it might be a good idea to look into having it here. And it was ironic, the same day I had 3 phone calls from people that are involved with it. So I told them the only thing I can do would be to bring it to Township Committee, because it's going to be a big event.
It's the first weekend in November they do that,
That's
right?
November the 4th, and speaking with Harry Fleming, the coordinator and the owner of everything, he wants all money that's raised at this to be donated back to the township or an organization of some sort. So it could be a pretty big fundraiser for us.
So, just so I understand it, it will be a township charitable event,
It'll be an event sanctioned by the township this year.
We could
and all the proceeds go to the township,
It all
township
goes to the
organizations.
township. We talked about was have a benefit for township recreation.
Capital improvement for recreation?
Well, the reason I'm asking is that there's a use of facilities distinction between something that benefits the township.
I'm looking to possibly do this hand in hand with our Fall Fest, but it might be too much of an undertaking at that point to combine the two. But I would like, again, we would take this and
Yeah.
run it.
I would probably cancel the Fall Fest and just put your couple vendors from that out here.
Yeah, that's really what I hope to do. That's just so
What they would need to do is contact the clerk's office to go through the use of facilities applications, all that would be addressed, and then the
they're not the
question.
ones who are gonna be doing it. We will, as a special.
It's gonna be
events.
a township.
The township's gonna
Sponsored
sponsor,
event.
it's gonna be a township event then?
Yeah.
It's a township event, but we'll be having Fleming's Pumpkin Run named because they were already so established.
What is Fleming's Pumpkin? I'm sorry.
Fleming's Junkyard out in Scoville.
Well, it hasn't been a
It's the
junkyard
name
in
of a car
forever,
show.
but they had an Oktoberfest.
I'm gonna have to review it because you can't pick one vendor over another without bidding process or
No, they're not.
open and fair.
It's not a vendor, it's
Who's
just,
the
Not a vendor.
It would just be a sponsor?
All she's gonna do is be an overseer for us to help us coordinate it.
it was always run as Fleming's Pumpkin Run. It was Fleming's Junkyard,
Because that's where it occurred?
yes.
Yeah.
And the municipality shut them down. And after doing it for 15, 20 years,
That's probably longer than that, hasn't it?
it's been forever.
It's more of a charitable event where people will bring their
It's
antique
just a
cars and
name, it's not,
equipment.
it's not
Yes.
to promote any
Correct.
business
It's
or
a name
anything.
No.
only, but
Right, it's the
it
name
would-
of the event.
it
It's
would be
a
a-
car show, people bring their cars in to put them on display, and they need a place to
It
do
would-
It's
that.
not
would be
promoting
Upper
one
Townships.
vendor or
But
business
there's
over
a
another.
bunch of vendors there, I mean, it's
Understand.
basically a huge,
I imagine they probably got
It's a festival.
1,000
Yeah.
cars.
Okay,
So again, you know, I'm
but
not
that
gonna
would just
get
be an
involved in
event
this.
similar to what you usually do.
You know, I would love to have a car show here, and, you know, it's a great event, and it's a good, safe event, which, you know, for everybody. But again, it's gonna be a large undertaking on part of the township. So I wanna make sure the committee is, you know, I have the committee's backing on this before I continue to look into it.
and I think we
Put this
don't.
together. I have a meeting set up with some of their people.
So
I mean-
I suppose you're suggesting we have it at Caldwell?
No.
No?
It'll be at Amanda's.
Oh, that's an amendment.
It'll be at Amanda's, because I'm thinking we could take the cars and put them around the bike.
Yeah, you would have to analyze it the same way you would one of your Fourth of July events or whatever,
Be the
with
same
crowds and budgets and
Yeah.
staffing and
Yeah.
security people, all that.
This has potential to probably pull what do you think, Kurt, 5 to 10,000 people,
Oh, easy.
easy into the township for the day. And it's not an all-day affair. It usually starts about 9 and it's over by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And you judge the cars. They bring in old race cars from back in the 30s and 40s, the old coupes. I know Kurt's there with tractors and everything. They have a lot of the old
I've never
steam.
taken anything
No, but
out.
you go there for that, you know. They have the steam engine, so it's a big undertaking to put all this in place.
Who's gonna supervise it?
Who do you think?
Alright.
Again, I have to have everybody's backing on it, I'm not even gonna attempt it, because it's gonna be a lot of township employees involved with this. Scott, we're gonna need sheriff's officers again, directing traffic, OEM plan, along with Jay and everybody again. And, it'd be, like I said, I think it'd be a fantastic.
One of the problems with Fleming's having over there, they didn't have enough off-street parking. People, they were I mean, he had a junkyard there, he cleaned up his junkyard, he had minimal stuff there, and the neighborhood got a little riled up about it.
It morphed into something, and plus you had, Halloween there in the junkyard, and it's really set up well. You know, even with this, I'm thinking, I was want to bump them a week early if I could, Jay, to put this together, and maybe we could do trunk or treat and everything at the same time, because a lot of these people in the cars come in and they set up as haunted areas, and, you know, and some of them scare the heck out of you.
That might be
You
the
think
way
it's
to
just
do
a
it, and
mummy, you know?
eliminate the Fall Fest,
So-
do that in lieu of it.
Again, I have to, I have to sit down with Shawna with this, and with Scott, I really want to make sure that,
I mean, if we make any money, we can dedicate it for capital improvement for recreation facilities, it's a no-brainer, I mean, it's,
again, we have not put in place the fees for vendors yet. So we're gonna have to ask for donations if we can't have something in place.
Well, let's check with them and see how they have it set up.
Yeah.
I mean, if they,
May not be
I
any
know with the
Reinvent
cars,
the
it's
wheel.
usually $25 registration.
They probably have a whole
And you have
system set up.
trophies, I'll have judges for cars. I used to do the one in Ocean City, which is a lot smaller, with the King of the Grill, when they had the barbecue competitions. We had maybe 100 cars.
I mean,
Also-
we have to charge for
Well, of
vendors.
course, you have to charge, and that money goes into the general fund for donations. And then, the vendors should be $25 or $50.
Well, whatever Fleming charges, I mean, that's obviously
Yeah,
your
yeah.
people,
So
that's your
again,
guideline right there.
I just wanted to throw it out there before I pursue it any further.
Another thought is too, we've been looking for ways to improve the funding for the Independence Day celebration. So we do have an account set up for that, I believe, so that
We
may
do,
be,
we have
maybe
the township
to fund
account,
that
and
account.
we also have a sponsors account that helps us out a lot. So it would go into all of that. I mean, there's things we need. We want to build a stage. I just don't want to earmark it for a specific reason other than special events and recreation or something of that nature. So then we can pick and choose where the money would go, once we see what we have.
I definitely think it's something worth pursuing.
And you think you have enough time to organize this? Because you're
I
only
will-
really
I will-
talking
I will know-
rapidly coming up on
I will know
August.
within before the next meeting. So,
Yeah,
just
Toby's
for a
pretty good at throwing
consensus
stuff
from you
together.
guys, for me to come back to you in 2 weeks and say it's a go or it's not. So,
3
I mean,
weeks.
we can take a roll call to see if there's support of the township committee to have you move forward, you know, without making a commitment and just bring it back to us, you know, but, you know, I really can't, emphasize enough that, you know, you're like 3 months away from this at
oh, I know.
most, and
Sometimes we
that's
do the
not a
best-
lot of time.
But the best part about it is it was already in place. His email addresses and everything were already in place. A lot of his cards were already registered. So for them to help us, Harry said he'll just hit the button on his computer and send out the change to all his cards and everybody that he deals with. And then they'll have a direct, to here, you know. So a lot of the legwork's been done as far as organizing. Our biggest thing is going to be putting together how we're going to park the cars, where we're going to have the vendors. You know, Harry came out and looked at it, and he drove through the park, and he said, "Well, it's definitely big enough to do it," you know. But again, the consensus of what your feelings are that before I put a lot of time into this, and I don't mind putting the time into it.
I think it's a no-brainer. I
Great
mean,
for the township.
So do you want to make a motion to move forward with this
I'd like to
request?
make a motion, we allow Hobie to move forward with this.
And I think if we could, Kurt, and that, I'd like to say, you know, maybe if we have to include it, it would be a township sponsored and sanctioned event. That way it
Yes, that
goes
was in my
away with
motion.
all, a lot of the other stuff we have to go through.
That was in my motion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Want a
Would
roll
you call
call?
the roll, please?
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mrs. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes. And the only other thing I have is Caldwell Park, and I know we've been shorthanded. I had spoke to Dwayne about 2.5, 3 weeks ago after we had the paving in, and about getting the irrigation put in place in the topsoil. I've been working on a deal with Tucko Turf Farms that we'll get their overages on their jobs, and they'll come in and do it for us. And my fear again is gonna be that we're gonna be behind the 8 ball and miss out on an opportunity to have a couple $1,000 job donated if we can't get this done. So I don't know where we are, you know, time-wise with the, you know, with the workers. But we need the irrigation put in and the topsoil. So, Mr. Chairman.
working on your irrigation list now.
I know they're working on repairs. I'm,
Well, he's working on the list we're on.
okay, all right.
Get the irrigation under there.
Do we have a ballpark? Because I have to let Chicky know, because right now they're doing stadiums, and once they get back, he's obviously bringing half a truckload of sod back from Pittsburgh.
I probably got that another week of asphalt with my crews to finish up the original regular.
As a team though, correct? You have multiple,
Yep.
yes, that was our plan. And then we just recently, I know John Adams was down there just the other day, to address, we had some areas that were adjacent to
We
the
had some
asphalt.
washout, and that's one of my concerns
We
too.
had to, we raised the elevation of the gravel or topsoil area so that there was no tripping hazard. In lieu of, or in anticipation of, the irrigation and the sod and everything else.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I go back and tell Telco Turf, because it's not something I can hang them out on a limb for and say, when it's free, you know, well, whenever we say you can do it, you can do it. I kinda gotta get to a time frame where I can tell them, we're gonna be ready in 2 weeks. Cause especially once we get the topsoil down, we don't wanna leave it sit there, because that's gonna erode anyway when it rains. So if I tell them 2 weeks, you think we're okay? That we could be ready?
Let me, if you don't mind, Hobie, let me sit down with Roy this week and then I'll have an answer for you.
Yeah, and again, they're starting their full practices August 1st, and they're gonna be starting their scrimmages. So it's just, I'd like to get something finished up if we can as part of that.
I'll have an answer for you before the end of the week.
And the only thing I ever had, which, and Roy and I talked about this, was crack sealing. And we looked at Caldwell Park and different places. And I think it's imperative that whatever we're gonna do with this, we've gotta get it done before we get another cold winter and freeze. Because we are losing our parking areas because we have neglected it over the years. We're just not maintaining it on a regular basis. We don't have the equipment and we don't have the manpower.
We have that scheduled too, we're gonna run cracks.
Right, just, again, it was just, I walked around Caldwell the other day and I'm looking at the parking lot. It's, you know, go over this one more time just to make sure we're all on the same page. That's it. Thank you.
Edward?
I have nothing to report, sir.
That's a good thing. Curtis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I have nothing.
I don't have anything either, so go on to the resolutions. So the first resolution is appointing Kara Clemens as MAC Coordinator of the Upper Township Ocean City Municipal Alliance Committee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Call roll, Dan.
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Second resolution, appointing Michelle Preverty as member of the Upper Township Ocean City Municipal Alliance.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Let's call the roll.
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Okay, so the next resolution is refund EMS ambulance billing overpayment to Signet Choice Fund HRA.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is renewing mobile home park licenses.
Move the resolution.
Second.
And I'm assuming everything's in place,
Yes.
okay? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Abstain.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is renewing campground licenses.
Move the resolution.
Well, before you do that, let's talk about this a little bit, because the resolution you had sent out on Friday had Echo Farms on the resolution as well. They're still pending their county health department approval. I spoke to the county health department today. They expect it. There's a few more things they have to do. They expect it shortly, so they were removed from the resolution. We expect them to get their county approval, and we'll renew their license next month. If not, we will deal
So
with
in
it.
an effort to not in any way jeopardize, the existing, this is a resort opportunity, this is summertime, these people are there.
You and I
Will
spoke
we
about it,
allowed to
yeah.
continue to operate until such time as?
Well, that's up to the township committee. My suggestion is that you do that, particularly since most of the major items have been addressed by the county. It's just that they won't issue the approval until probably later this week, and we don't have a meeting until August. So unless you wanted to have a special
Can we
meeting,
approve this
I would
subject
say
to-
delay.
Right, I
We'll
asked.
delay enforcement
We can.
until next month in the event that they are not able to be renewed for some
Right.
reason.
Well, I believe you're with Echo, right? So although I normally would wait until we get to the public portion, maybe you can at least give us some idea of what's going on, And again, it doesn't mean that we're looking to shut Echo down in any way. In order to approve this resolution, we have to have everything in place. So, what we're saying to you at this point is, we're willing to work with you to, get things corrected or whatever needs to be addressed, and then move forward with it. But you
Let
certainly
me just
could let us-
characterize it. My suggestion is that there won't be an enforcement action for lack of a license unless you don't, in the next week or so, get the county approval. If you don't get the county approval, then I think the township has a problem that you're operating without a license.
I think it's 4 days,
Okay.
so I don't know if the county can come out this week, I think they can.
You know what, can you just state your name for the
You
record?
need to
just-
go back to the
Yeah.
microphone so they can hear you as well.
I'm sorry.
Stephanie Spataro McVeigh with Echo Farms, RV Campground. We basically need about 4 days to finish the big ticket items that were on our list. I had to get vendors to come out and do that. I had Pinelands Demolition, they were backed up for 3 weeks, so we got them to come out a little bit earlier. And a landscape company to do debris and brush removal. They were the largest items that were holding us up. Everything else has come in line. We've done over $3,500 in tree work. Pretty much everything else, sites are cleaned up, things are looking good. We took out abandoned RVs. They brought me in to reposition the property. So we're getting to that point. I believe we should be finished all of it by Thursday afternoon at 5 o'clock. I just asked for a reasonable accommodation till then.
Okay.
That is consistent with what the county has told me, or as late as this afternoon.
Okay, so,
I wrote all my emails.
so
proposals.
my only question, Dan, is they're not on the resolution, and I think it's appropriate for us to move forward with the existing resolution because everything is in place for these folks. But we can,
What I would suggest is
Go
that
ahead.
maybe after you do this resolution, you do a voice vote on a resolution to withhold enforcement of any lack of a license on Echo Farms until the next meeting, and you get a report from the County
Okay.
Board of Health.
okay.
If you want to do that now and make the motion, that'd be great.
Let's clear that up first, and then we can go to this resolution. I think that would be an easier way so we don't get it
You
confused.
have a motion to that effect?
Make a motion to that effect, sir.
Second.
Second.
And let the record reflect, I believe, Mr. Corson, you're gonna be recused from this one as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. So would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson? Abstain. Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
So,
you still have-
so you understand what we're saying? That no enforcement will take place because we can address this at our next meeting. But in the meantime, as soon as you get everything situated, maybe, hopefully by Thursday, then we'll have that information and we can, verify it and then we can move forward and just include you on the next the meeting, for a resolution specifically for you, so. All right?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, now would someone like to make
We still
a,
have to act on the motion
Right,
for the
that's-
other campgrounds.
do we have, do we get a motion for?
Motion to approve?
Yeah,
Second.
okay. And again, Mr. Corson will be recused.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson abstains. Mr. Palumbo?
Yes,
Mr. Young?
Yes.
okay. Next item on the agenda is appointing Ansel Grimm and Aaron PC and Lawrence Shapiro Esquire as special legal counsel.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Yes.
Next item is appointing Dylan Zayinsky as seasonal employee to the Upper Township Public Works Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr.
Call
Barr?
the roll.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Next item is canceling and refunding taxes on exempt property, block 567, lot 18.09.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Canceling and refunding taxes on exempt property, block 687, lot 14.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
I'd just like to make a note for the record that both of these properties mentioned in these past two resolutions were properties that are owned by veterans.
Thank you.
Disabled veterans.
Yes.
Next item is authorizing a notice of violation and abatement of the nuisance pursuant to Township Code, Section 11-1.
Move the resolution. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And just for the record, we do have prices from landscapers,
All right.
and our township employees are not gonna be cleaning them up anymore. We're gonna utilize landscapers, which we still can recover administrative costs.
That's good. Great move.
Hell of a suggestion.
Authorizing the mayor and township clerk to sign a contract with KD National Force Security and Investigations LLC for professional security services.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Call
Mr.
the
Barr?
roll.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Authorizing a one-year extension of the contract with Cape Professional Billing Incorporated, doing business as Cape Medical Billing for emergency medical billing services.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
releasing the maintenance bond of Clayton Development Associates LLC for the major subdivision known as Willits Road and White Oak Drive.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Paul, everything's in place?
Everything's been in place for more than the 2-year maintenance bond period, and everything's functioning fine, and should go to accept that road.
Okay. Would you call the roll then, Dan, please?
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Establishing the cost for the purchase of additional
Cubic yard.
Secured.
what is it?
3 cubic
yards.
yard.
Yeah, but the recycling containers pursuant to section 24-2.8B of the Code of Upper Township.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Just to indicate that this cost is, the first one is free of charge, and the second one is $750.
Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
I am abstaining.
Mr. Corson's abstaining. Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Why will these stupid things?
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Amending resolution number 012-2017 that appoints various officers and employees to annual and specified terms.
Motion to amend the resolution.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is the introduction and first reading of ordinance 10-2017, an ordinance updating Chapter 3 Police Regulations within the Township of Upper Cape May County in the state of New Jersey. Now, when you make a motion, this is the introduction. There'll be at least a 30-day period for comment, and we'll have an open hearing on this ordinance at
August 28th.
August 28th works. So would someone like to make that motion?
Motion to introduce.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Right, so the next item is new business, Stockton University Coastal Research Center Municipal Shoreline Report for the first and second quarters of 2017. Paul, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, this is Dr. Farrell reporting on the first 2 quarters of the year. First quarter seemed pretty good. We did note in the second quarter, and we had some issues come up where the channel had been maintaining pretty stable in a, keeping that inlet open and everything. However, I think due to the change of the winds and the shoaling of the sandbar offshore, we're now seeing that secondary channel start to make that turn to the south-southeast and starting to bite into the, towards Seaview and Neptune Avenue and cutting into our beach pretty severely. Public Works had, we had to do some coordination with the DEP and the agencies, and Public Works was able to come out, and we had about almost 2 blocks of severe scarping over 3 feet in height, about a block and a half, that the Public Works had to go out there and create a safe beach, and I think it's been fairly stable since we did that corrective action, but it's
I was down there Saturday and yesterday in the morning, and it seems to have subsided. It's still happening a little bit, but not as bad as what it was. We had a significant drop off that some of the areas were 2 to 3 feet drop. And I had called Paul, and Roy got involved, and Scott got involved, because I was concerned for, people's safety, and I thought that if we could somehow, level it out a little bit, it would certainly prevent any injuries or whatever. And then I would also ask Paul to reach out to Stu Farrell from Stockton to, kind of review what's going on, so we have some idea if we don't have a mounting problem. I know Curtis is probably the only person that recalls this from the committee standpoint, but I know Dan recalls it and Paul does, but we had significant issue, probably 8 years ago, where the entire inlet, the entire state park was washed away. And it really culminated from this super channel, whatever it is, that seems to keep forming. So, you know, we want to try and address it sooner rather than later if there's something we can do to you know, contain it somehow. I don't know if you can contain it, but, you know, certainly work around it.
It's really got to the point where right at CVU and Neptune, when the beach field was done, from the toe of where you would step onto the beach from coming over the dune, out to the high water line was well over 400 feet. It's now down to 75 feet or less. And just to give you a feel, you know, look at the pictures show 1,000 words, but that's, you know, from a measurement standpoint, that's what you're looking at in shoreline, beach, dry beach loss. You know, we're significantly lost there, and it kind of tapers in for at least a block and a half, almost to Windsor Battle, where it kind of is tailing in. But when you look at the rest of the beach, we're in really good condition. You know, the dune.
The dunes have built themselves on top of what we had established. I mean, you basically, I mean, the railings from the established, you know, walkways on each corner are literally covered with sand.
So, I mean, I know the committee's authorized to go out, you know, in the fall, we're gonna be putting out another, you know, line of dune fence, but that's why it's so important to get as much keep as much sand as we can on that upper beach, so when we do have erosion like this, you know, we've got some sand to help buffer that.
Well, this might be kind of an out-of-the-box question, but you had mentioned earlier that, you know, there was an opportunity maybe for a living shoreline grant. Now, with that considered, would there be a way to plant vegetation on that beach that would kind of minimize this erosion, or you know, maybe capture some sand a little bit better?
Not, this area is difficult because the erosional forces are so strong there when it's a tide and that channel is moving. Nothing
You could take anything planted there.
When we
with it.
almost lost the houses there, John, it was,
I mean,
it
we
looked like,
literally
like
had
the Ocean
backyards.
City. It
Well,
looked
we
like
had
the-
I remember when you guys were
It
trucking
looked
all
like
that
the Ocean
stuff in
City,
there.
there were 6-8 inch trees in there, I mean, they're just gone.
I mean,
washed out.
literally underneath, throughout the state park and then in front of that area that we're talking about, there's a rock groin that we put in for an emergency to try and, you know, protect the infrastructure that was really in jeopardy. You know, I mean, it was very critical.
Steel bulkhead was put in,
Yeah, and the rock
Remember
wall.
that.
and large rocks, I mean, massive.
That was an
jetty-type rocks.
$800,000 project that we funded just to put the rocks in.
The rocks were the size of a car.
And remember when DEP said, that when they did the beach replenishment, they wanted
They
to remove all that? Yeah, okay.
And basically, I said that, and I'm not trying to be critical, basically I told them that if you want the rocks to go, you dig them out. And that Dre dropped it, so.
But from a vegetation standpoint, because we don't rake our beaches, from Williams heading south, there is a lot of vegetation growth in the upper beach. Not as much where a lot of the patrons, you know, beachgoers use the beach more readily, but I'll say that upper quarter to a third, there's already vegetation growing in there, and I call them like little mini four dunes.
Yeah, I've
are
noticed
already-
that. It's
Already growing out there, so that's some of the benefit of keeping the beach natural, not grooming it, that those natural areas can grow and,
It's growing consistently throughout all the beach area over there.
Yes.
yes, except for the first 3 blocks.
But, you know, in retrospect, it really doesn't matter what size vegetation is because that was a really overgrown area, that natural state park, and it just totally went into the bay.
And 20 years ago, there was over 1,000 feet of
Heavily
forest,
vegetated.
heavily vegetated, you know, like as Curtis said, there were 6-inch cedar trees in there, and within like 4 or 5 years, it just took those trees like it was, they were twigs.
It didn't even take 4 or 5 years, it was, when it went, it decided it was going.
40 years ago, Ocean City State Park was a third less in size. In other words, the sand shifted from our side to Ocean City side.
So anyway, we're monitoring it, and it's something we need to watch, so.
And we have both these reports and when we've had these communications, we've been communicating both to the DEP Bureau of Coastal Engineering and the Army Corps of Engineers to keep them abreast of the situation. And fortunately, the Army Corps of Engineers is actually going to be out over the next couple of weeks doing their annual survey, so they'll be able to have real-time survey information of what the condition of the beach is right now.
Mayor, from a public safety standpoint, also future events, whether they be tropical or nor'easter, if the scarping happens again, can't get to it right away. For some reason, we purchase signs that show a cliff dropped off on the sign and they're reflective, so we can put those in there at least temporarily till we get our public works guy.
Yeah, and I want to thank Public Works because it was addressed quickly and you, Scott, as well. And, you know, I mean, this is the summertime, this is when people are using that beach, and, you know, we didn't want in any way curtail that, and it was addressed very quickly, so I thank you guys for that. Good job. All right. So would someone like to make a motion to pay the bills?
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated into the full minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
There are 4 reports from our municipal departments: Animal Control, Department of Public Works, Division of EMS, and Municipal Court. All of those reports will be available tomorrow at the clerk's office upon request, but I'll make a motion to accept these reports.
Second.
Oh, there's 2 other ones: tax assessor, tax collector, certification and mailing of the 2017 final, 2018 preliminary tax bills, and advice copies. So all of those are included in the motion.
Okay. Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Coggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
So at this time, we've reached the public comment portion of the meeting. If anyone would like to address the Township Committee, now's the time to do so. Please state your name, your address, and your reason for wanting to address the Township Committee.
Natalie Neese, 759 Route 50 in Petersburg. I'd like to know what's involved in requesting a lowered speed limit on Highway 50 around the 610 traffic intersection in Perry Road. I live at about milepost 3.8, and there have been 4 accidents now going towards Tuckahoe in front of my properties, on just my side of the road.
So, I'm sorry, what is your question?
What's involved in requesting a lowered speed limit? It appears to be a residential area, and there, I don't know, for some reason, going towards Tuckahoe, the speed limit's 45, but if you're going the other direction, it's 40 miles per hour. But to me, it seems excessive for that particular area, with all the homes there and the driveways. Some people back out onto the highway.
Well, 2 things. One, that's a state highway, so it's not something that that this municipality would address. We would have to petition and ask the state if they would consider lowering the speed limit there. And typically, that's not an easy task, but, you know, if we're having some substantial, and Jay, I'll ask you, I mean, is there more than normal accidents that are occurring at that area?
I don't think we've had an increase in accidents.
There's just a lot of accidents that occur there.
Was there other contributing factors, or was it speed? Or most of them? So there was other contributing factors, but speed was also an issue.
So there's no analysis that was done on the entire stretch of area determining what the factors were of the accidents?
Maybe,
Which the state would do if you made a request.
maybe the thing to do is we ask the state, we send a letter to the state, we've had a number of accidents here between 610 and Lavares, or whatever the stretch is, and ask them if they can take a look at it and see what they recommend. And maybe it's not a speed reduction, maybe it's a rumble strip, maybe it's a caution sign, maybe it's a better lighting.
Well, that 610, it's a tough intersection because, I mean, if you're coming down 610 towards Upper, you're really blindsided. You rely on the light, and that's not a good way to address an intersection, so.
That should be, that whole intersection should be 4-way, no right turns.
But are the accidents being caused by the intersection or after the intersection? And that's where I think Natalie is talking about.
I think there's a problem
It's
with
after the
the site.
intersection.
Well, I think we asked the state to look at the whole situation and see what their determination is. I mean, to sit here and try to say it's speed, it's not just speed, it's other contributing factors. And it might be, I mean, most of the accidents are at night, right? Might be a lighting issue, might be,
Well, in the morning, you can't see, when the sun's coming up, you can't see at all. And then I heard in the late afternoon, it's the same way. When the sun's going down, you can't see at all. But, I mean, it's a blind curve there with a double yellow blinking light. And, I mean, the people, like, they fly through there. They don't go 45. I mean, and, you know, in the summer, we have a lot of people from out of town. I had 3 accidents within 20 foot of each other within 9 months in front of my one house. So, you know, if there's something you can do,
Well,
I think
I
this-
think we certainly can reach out to the state and see if they will take a look at it and do some studies, and, you know, potentially we can see, you know, ask them if, you know, is speed a factor here and there's any way of reducing it. But as any other intersection, I'm sure Chief Potter can attest to this, is that this time of year it's difficult at a lot of the intersections, whether it's not Roosevelt Boulevard 9, whether it's Roosevelt Boulevard and Stagecoach, because there's a lot of people in that area that are transient. Like you said, they're you know, they're tourists. They're going to their vacation spots, so they may or may not be familiar with it. So, you know, we just can't change it, so we'll see what the state can do about it.
well, there's no sidewalks there either, and there's a lot of foot traffic and kids on bicycles and people, you know, running and walking their animals. I mean, it's not far from Amanda's Field. I mean, I just think it's a real health and safety hazard.
well, it's not the, I'm not disagreeing with you, but if sidewalks were to be put in by the municipality, what would probably happen on a situation like that, you would probably be assessed as a homeowner for having a sidewalk in your front yard. That's the potential. The municipality just doesn't come and put sidewalks in your front yard. The homeowners would pay for them.
Well, I think, to your point, we'll see what we can find out from the state and move forward with that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, it doesn't appear that there's anyone else that wants to address the Township Committee, so I'll close the public comment portion of the meeting and turn to Mr. Coggins for a motion to go into executive session.
I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters are contract negotiation for the telephone system, a fixed asset inventory audit, Cape May County roads and county fleet maintenance, asbestos consultant for Old Town Hall and the architectural consultant for Old Town Hall, and Arawak paving. Litigation matters, Holt versus Upper Township Zoning Board of Adjustment, safety and security matters, and personnel matters. I also include in my motion the estimated time and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be discussed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality. With respect to litigation matters, such discussions will be made public when litigation is complete and the applicable appeal period has expired.
Second. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr.
Yes.
Mr. Goggins.
Yes.
Mr. Corson.
Yes.
Mr. Palumbo.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Thank you for attending this evening. Please drive safely home and have an enjoyable week.